Hello and welcome to this episode of My Safety Consultant with me, Pete Thomas. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about white labeling. I think this is a subject that's really important to safety consultancy and fire safety consultancy. In our industry, white labeling is incredibly commonplace, more so, I would say, than any other profession I've seen. White labeling is where someone contracts work out to someone else and they're doing it under their brand. White labeling has got huge issues, and I'm going to be controversial. I'm just going to say it. I don't like it. This is going to be one of those episodes where I just say what I think about it, and I'm going to put it out there, and maybe people are going to come to me and say you're wrong, but I think it's got some real downsides, and I think as our industry becomes more and more accountable, certainly in terms of legal accountability and the increasing number of criminal prosecutions we're seeing against safety consultants, against fire safety consultants, I think the contractual structure around white labeling will start to get picked apart in the future. And I think it's going to create a bit of a problem for our industry if we don't get a grip of it first. But before I go into the episode, first of all, I just want to give a couple of updates. So 46 subscribers on YouTube. Honestly, that's amazing. Thank you very much. I get it. We're in a niche industry, right? I'm never going to have 20,000 subscribers on a YouTube channel, but just the fact that there's 46 people that have watched the videos that I put on YouTube that can see what I'm trying to do, trying to help the, safety consultants and fire safety consultants by putting this information out there. If it helps a couple of people, then it's worthwhile and it's worth my time doing it. So the next step then is to get to 50 consultants. If I can get 50 subscribers on YouTube, that would make me really, really happy. So if you're watching this video and you find it valuable, then please hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really makes a difference to the success of the show. It makes a huge difference to how the episodes are promoted and the feedback that we get. On the last episode that we did, Productivity Tools for Safety Consultants, had some really great feedback. Thank you very much. And there's one message here that I'm going to read out now. So this message is from Cameron Stevens, 6878. Cam Stevens, if you've not heard of him, check him out on LinkedIn. He's a safety tech guru all the way from Australia. You'll see him at a number of events in the UK speaking. He was certainly at the NEC show last year, speaking on behalf of IOSH on safety tech, where I had the pleasure of meeting him. Really, really nice guy, and definitely the leading voice on technology and safety. He's commented, local versus international far away is a real issue and well noted. I live in the most isolated city in the world, so it resonates to keep it local where I can. Yeah, so this was in terms of how you can structure work or take on clients in order to improve productivity, right? So rather than taking on clients that are miles and miles away. And I think that relates to today's topic as well around white labeling, because when we take on work that's too far away, we have a tendency to want to subcontract it out. And yeah, I can see how that would be completely different in Australia, where, you're talking thousands and thousands of miles to the next city. It's a different ball game. I'm not a big fan of providing my full calendar to clients, have specific links to specific work. I use Google and Microsoft tools for that, pending which service I'm booking for. So this is in relation to the use of Calendly. Yeah, I would never release what I'm doing where. And I do wonder if there's sort of security concerns around that. But when you release Calendly, you can book out time in your diary. So you can just have it grayed out effectively. So that if a potential client is trying to book some time with you through Calendly, they can only book at the times that you are showing as available. I use several AI tools for consulting, and I'm saving 85% on a standard consulting model. Tools like Claude, Sonnet, Perplexity, GPT 4.0, Gemini, Copilot, Claude, etc. Dozens of time per day. Voice mode is fire. Yeah, absolutely. I love voice mode on AI. I think it's one of the biggest game changers. So one of the things that slows us down with any AI tool is the time that it takes us to type in the request, right? I don't know. Most of you will remember when we used to type text messages into phones and you had to hit the number 3 or 4 times to get the letter that you wanted. And so, of course, text messages took ages. Now we are going to voice messages, and voice messages on WhatsApp I use every day. And I even use voice messages on LinkedIn every day just because it's so much quicker to speak than it is to type. So I love voice mode with AI tools like ChatGPT. It's just so much faster. Using LLMs as a colleague and coach is definitely a thing, right? This is something that I mentioned on the last episode. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look. If you're running a business, particularly as a safety consultant, you need an awful lot of business advice. Business coaches cost me a lot of money when I set up my consultancy. You can use an LLM like ChatGPT now as a business coach. You can ask it to work out your, projected turnover if you charge this amount of day rate. You can literally have a conversation with it like a really, really intelligent friend. It's like having your own little mastermind group where you can ask it questions. I think that's seriously undervalued at the moment as a tool. Still haven't had a demo of Intuity. Still interested to learn its applicability to a non-UK context. Cam, drop me a message. We will get that demo booked in. And I've not found a VA that works for me yet. Happy for tips. Nice one, mate. Well, honestly, Cam, thank you so much for taking the time to message. I really, really appreciate it. I really like the fact that you like the YouTube episode that we put out. It means a lot. Thank you. What is white labeling then? Let's take an example. I run a safety consultancy and I take on a piece of work, but I don't have the resources, the skills, the time, or perhaps it's too far away from me to undertake the work. And so I subcontract that work out. I subcontract that work out to you as another safety consultant, but I say to you, look, I want you to undertake this work. I will pay you a day rate, but I want you to undertake it as my consultant. Okay. So you're effectively going there as, I don't know, Pete Thomas safety, say. And in our industry, that is really common. And then what I do is I say to you, hey, look, can you sign this NDA, like a non-disclosure agreement, non-compete agreement, to say that you're not going to take my client, to say that you're not going to disclose that you run your own safety consultancy down the road. As far as the client is concerned, you are, for all intents and purposes, an employee of mine. I think this is going to completely change over the next couple of years, and I think this is going to become a thing of the past. Why do consultants get white labeled, first of all? Okay, I think a lot of consultants end up being white labeled because we advertise on LinkedIn, right? It's the first place we advertise our services. When I say, hey, I just set up as a safety consultant, you'll see these posts all the time, and I'm seeing loads at the moment on LinkedIn. Hey, I've just set up as a safety consultant, and I'm looking for work if you've got any tips. And then I go, oh, great, that's brilliant. I could use an extra pair of hands. Yeah, I've got some work, some white labeled work. I'll pay you a day rate. Let me know your day rate and we'll sort something out. Really, really common. And when I first set up as a safety consultant, I took on a ton of white labeled work. And do you know what I found? It was more of a hindrance than it helped, right? It was nice. It kept the wool from the door. It kept some money coming in. But all that time that I was white labeled, I was effectively an employee for someone else. So I was on someone else's time. It was actually a lot harder work because I wasn't setting up my own operational processes. I was working to someone else's processes. I was using their software systems. I was using their templates. I was using their procedures. And that took an awful lot of time. Plus, because I was doing white label for a number of different consultants, they all had different ways of working. So again, that took a lot of time. I couldn't just turn up to site at 9 in the morning and everything was fine. I had to put in an awful lot of time prior to that to get my head around their systems, to get logged into their systems. And a lot of that was time that you don't get paid for. I look back now and I realize that a lot of it was down to trial and error. When I set up as a safety consultant, I didn't just go, right, I'm going to do a ton of market research. This is my niche and this is what I'm going to stick to. It was like a shotgun. I literally just went everywhere. I was like, right, I cover everywhere. I do everything. And I see this so many times on safety consultants' websites, right? And this is not me being critical in any way. Love you all. Honestly, contact me anytime. I'll do anything I can to help. But a lot of times when I go on some safety consultants' websites, particularly new safety consultants, I'll go, we cover nationwide and we do everything, right? Do you do training? Yeah, we do training. What training do you do? Everything. But then if you contact them and say, look, can you deliver this course? They'll go, yeah. If you've got like 50 people, right? If it's this ginormous contract, then it's worth me signing up to the license in order to deliver it, right? So, but you don't already have the license. No, but we can get it easily enough if you've got a massive contract. Well, the problem that has is that the SEO and the websites are all to pot because when you Google it, you can't work out who actually currently offers this service and who just purports to offer it, but could do if it was the right size contract. And this was something that we had a lot of trouble with my safety consultant. When we set up, we said we want a potential client to be able to find the right consultancy for them. Someone that's local, someone that's, does the work and is skilled in the work, and someone that's got some reviews or some feedback straight away, right? So they can see who can do it at the drop of a hat. And it's a really simple process, because at the moment, if they Google it, they're just going to come up with a list of hundreds of people, and they're not going to know which way to turn. But a lot of consultants said, well, we offer more than 3 services. We offer 20 services. And it's like, I get that there's a couple of large consultancies out there that offer a lot of these services, but there's not many consultancies out there where there's like a one-man band consultancy that offer fire risk assessments to all levels, health and safety to all levels, DZIA, lightning protection, every training course under the sun, asbestos removal. It's like, come on, you can't do everything. The CPD alone would just be overwhelming. So a lot of that work has to be contracted out. Like, I know it, you know it, the client knows it. And this is one of the things that leads to white labeling. So one of the issues that I found then is that as a consultant, when I'm undertaking this white labeled work, I'm not getting the whole piece of the pie. I'm only getting a percentage of the pie, right? So the client is paying, I don't know, X amount, £100, and I'm seeing 50% of that. I'm doing the work, I'm putting the time in, I'm putting the effort. I still need to be insured, and I'm actually only getting a percentage of the money that's there on offer. So I was never earning enough to get ahead. It was always a lower day rate than what I could have otherwise earned. The other thing is, it wasn't promoting my brand. This day rate work wasn't building my brand as a consultant, as a business. It was building my brand as a subcontractor, sure, but it wasn't building my business brand. People weren't Googling me. People weren't looking at my company and going, we'll book you in year after year. I was just doing this white labeled work as a one-off day rate. It doesn't matter. I was just a gray man. Next year it could be someone else. The year after it could be someone else. It didn't build my business. And the other thing is, it actually takes up an awful lot of time. It's not easy work. If someone is paying you for a full day, they expect you to undertake a full day. And as I said before, there's an awful lot of prep that goes into that, an awful lot of commuting that goes into that. You've still got all of the accounting time that goes around it. Not to mention, by the way, I have to say, the dreaded IR35. So depending on how much subcontracting you're doing, you just speak to an account. IR35 is something that I can't get my head around. I just try to avoid it like the plague, to be honest. But you're not actually building the business that you set out to build. Many consultants go, I'm going to build a business because I want freedom, I want time, and I want money. And the reality is that white labeled subcontract work just isn't going to bring that. The other thing is, you could be listening to this now and you could be saying, okay, hey, I want to grow my consultancy. What better than me being a consultant and subcontracting work out to consultants ad hoc? There's no risk to me. I just take a percentage of the money that comes in, zero risk. Well, I think there is risk, because I think the contracts start to get a little bit shaky, right? Because the NDAs and the contracts that people are signed up to, most of the time they're taken offline. Let's be honest, we don't have the money to pay top lawyers to write these contracts. And we're seeing more and more criminal prosecutions in our profession than ever before. And I think these contracts are going to start to get pulled apart, because ultimately that company has contracted you as a company, and then you've subcontracted that work out. Now, I know in the contract that you agree that you'll say that you can subcontract it out, but there's the insurances to think about in terms of who's insurance and who's liable. And then there's also the time that it takes you as the contracting company to go through the work that the subcontractor has done. Now, I've had this before, right, where I've gone to site and I've undertaken a piece of work, and the client has come back to me through the contracting company and said, I wanted this. I think that risk is too high. Can you reduce the risk? Now, the contracting company, they want to keep this client, so they then put pressure on me to reduce the risk. Now, it just gets really shaky. It's really shaky grounds, and I've seen this a number of times. And because the risk is passed between a number of companies, I just can't think of another profession that would do that and that would work in that way. Finally, you think, well, they're not going to take my client. At the end of the day, they're not going to take my client. There's an NDA in place. The NDA is not worth the paper it's written on. I'm just going to say it. You can come back to me if you think I'm wrong there, but I don't think NDAs are worth all that much, to be honest with you. And we now have LinkedIn, right? So say I'm Pete Thomas Safety and you're Dave Jones Safety. right? And I subcontract you under a white labeled contract, and they go, "Oh, Dave Jones, that's great. Who do you work for?" And you go, "Yeah, I work for Pete Thomas Safety. Yeah, I'm totally an employee of theirs." "Yeah, awesome. I'll connect with you on LinkedIn." Splashed everywhere, Dave Jones Safety. I definitely don't work for Pete Thomas Safety, right? I know it's a complicated way of saying it, but basically anyone can find you on LinkedIn. So it's blatantly obvious that you're not an employee of the company. It's just obvious. And I often wonder how that reflects and how that looks to that client, that you're not an employee. There's no consistency there. Next year it could be someone different. Most companies just want someone local. They want consistency. That's it. So here's my view on white labeling, and here's what I would do again. Honestly, I did it. Someone would say, "Pete, can you undertake some work in Scotland?" "Yeah, of course." "How much work are we talking about?" And they go, "X amount of days." Great. I sit there and get on the phone, try and find a consultant who can undertake that work for me. I've got contractual issues. I've got standardization in terms of reports, in terms of templates, access to software, access to systems. I've got delays to the client, where if the client places a demand on me to get that work done within a certain amount of time, I've then got the issue that I'm now pressuring someone else to do that work. And let's face it, they just wanted a day rate. This is not their top priority. They just did this for a bit of change just to keep their business afloat on the side. It's really, really difficult. And then when you look at it, after all of it, you've taken a couple of £100 on the day rate, and you're going to lose tax on that. It's a huge distraction from the business that you're trying to build. Would I do it? No. I wouldn't do it again, to be honest. I just think it's a real risk. I think we're better off trying to stick to our industry or our niche. If you're going to take on employees, please watch the other video that I did on employees, because there's a lot of work there. But if you're going to take on employees, then have that strategy. Like, really plan that out, map that out, how that's going to look, what you need to do in order to take on employees. But actually, a lot of people could just build a really nice consultancy working on their own. I think it's entirely possible to build a consultancy that turns over 6 figures entirely on your own. I know some people are going to scoff at that. You're going to drop me messages going, "Yeah, right." I don't think that's impossible with the right tools. With the right tools, with the right day rate, with the right niche, I think that's entirely feasible. And when work comes in for another area, I think you're better off going on to something like My Safety Consultant. Sorry, shameless plug. Shoot me. I mean, I've made it, so of course I'm going to push it. I think you're better going on to somewhere like My Safety Consultant, finding a local consultant in that area with good reviews and going, "Hey, I got a piece of work that's come in. It's in your area. Can I put you in touch with the client so you can negotiate that contract directly?" Maybe there'll be a reciprocal arrangement at some point. It just seems like a much more straightforward way of doing things. And then after that, you can get on with building your business, like the actual business, not just running around trying to build someone else's business for them just for a piece of the pie that you could otherwise have. So that's it. That's all I've got for this episode. White labeling. I'm not going to sit on the fence, but I am interested to hear your views. If you've got a different view to me, if you're sitting there going, "Pete, white labeling is the best thing since sliced bread and every other profession is missing out, and here's why," then let me know. Either let me know on LinkedIn, let me know in the comments on YouTube. You never know. I might change my view on this. If you're clear and put forward a coherent argument as to why it's great or what we can do to improve that process, I might change my view. But at the moment, having gone through it, as both sides, as someone that's been white labeled and someone that's done the white labeling, I can just see it fraught with danger. So just a quick update on My Safety Consultant before I go. The website should be going live this week. I'm really excited. So we're now in December, 1st of December. The advent calendar is there behind me. You can see My Safety Consultant website should be going live next week. It's huge. I'm so excited about this. I know that I'm going to get all our members on it. They're going to find me a ton of things to do, which is great. But I'm hoping I can get that all done before Christmas. So I hope that by January, New Year, we've got all of the snagging done. The website is live and it's just looking really, really awesome. Honestly, we've put in months and months worth of effort into this. So I'm really excited about the launch of My Safety Consultant. At the moment, we've still got a 3-month free trial. Of course, that's going to go when we launch the new website. But at the moment, you can still sign up on the old website. You still get that 3 months free. So if you're interested in grabbing a 3-month free trial quickly before it goes, because it's not going to last forever, then hop on to mysafetyconsultant.io, sign up, and you will get 3 months free trial. Thank you very much for all your support. Honestly, I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the really kind messages on LinkedIn and all the messages on YouTube. And if you're still here now, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much.